The next experiment that comes under the division of amplitude is the Michelson's interferometer. So in Michelson's interferometer, the fringes which are observed, they are an example of fringes of equal inclination, or they are also called as Hedinger fringes. So let's see what is the construction of this experiment. So this is the schematic diagram of Michelson's interferometer. Here is a source which is used and it is extended using a lens. So this point source, it is converted into an extended source using a lens. Now the light from this source over here, it is shown that the light, it is coming out as parallel beams, but this source, it is not kept at the focus. So the light which is coming out of this convex lens, which is getting transmitted, so these rays, they will not be parallel to each other. So only parallel rays are shown over here. So the rays, they will be parallel also, as well as they will be falling at particular angles. So these rays, they will fall on the glass plate. Here the plate which is shown over here, which is represented by G1, this is a glass plate, and the light which falls on this glass plate, it gets transmitted and it gets reflected from the lower surface, which is the rear side of the glass plate. So this side, the rear side or the downward side of the glass plate, it is coated with silver. So it is half silvered glass plate, and it is also called as beam splitter. So what is the function of this glass plate is to divide the amplitude of the incident wave into the transmitted and into the reflected ray. So this just acts as the beam splitter, and the beam which is incident on this glass plate, it will be 50% transmitted and 50% of it will be reflected. Now the light ray which is incident on the glass plate, it gets separated into the reflected ray as well as the transmitted ray, which are shown by red color. So the transmitted ray, it is shown by the number 1. So the ray 1, it is the transmitted ray, and ray 2, it is the reflected ray. So the light which is incident on the glass plate, it gets reflected from the rear side of the glass plate, which is half silvered. So from the rear side of the glass plate, it will get reflected and it will also get transmitted. So this ray is represented by 2 number, and this is the ray 1. Now when these light rays, they travel, and after some distance, perfectly polished mirrors, they are placed perpendicular to the rays. So this is the optical axis, this is the one optical axis, and this axis is the another optical axis in this experiment. So this direction, it is the first optical axis, and it is perpendicular to the mirror M2, and the other optical axis, it will be in this orientation and it will be perpendicular to the mirror M1. So there are two optical axes. That is the direction in which the rays, they are traveling. There are two main directions. And the rays the ray 1 which gets transmitted, it will fall on the mirror M2 and it will get reflected. Similarly, the ray 2, it falls on the mirror M1 and it will get reflected. So M1 and M2, these mirrors, they have high reflectivity, or you can say they are good quality plane mirrors having very high reflectivity. So M1 and M2, these are the plane mirrors. Now the rays, they will get reflected back by these mirrors. Now here some difference is shown between the two rays over here, and also some difference is shown over here. But in actual, the rays, they will retrace their path. Actually, there will be a single ray 1, and the reflected ray, it will superimpose on this first ray. So they will retrace their path and there will not be any difference which is shown over here. So difference in the two rays, it is shown just to make you understand that one ray is falling on the mirror and the other one is getting reflected from the mirror. Similarly over here, one ray is incident on the mirror and other one is getting reflected from the mirror. In actual, these rays will retrace their path in the opposite direction. Now after retracing their path, the ray 4, this is the reflected ray from the mirror M2, and after retracing its path, it will get reflected from this rear side of the glass plate. It will get reflected and it will reach the traveling microscope or the eyepiece, and this is the ray 5 which is getting reflected. So the ray 4, after getting reflected from the mirror M2, it will get reflected from the glass plate and it will reach the eye. Now the ray 3, it got reflected from the mirror M1, so it will get transmitted through this glass plate. So this ray, it will also get reflected as well as it will get transmitted. But the only ray which is important to us over here is the transmitted ray, the ray which is going in the downward direction and is reaching the eyepiece. So the ray 3, it will get transmitted through the glass plate and it will reach the eyepiece, and that ray is represented by ray 6. So these two rays, 5 and 6 rays, the ray 5 and the ray 6, these both rays, they will interfere with each other, and interference pattern or fringes, they will be observed in the traveling microscope or with the naked eye. So the interference will occur only between the ray 5 and the ray 6. Now S, it represents a light source which may be a sodium lamp. So this S, it represents a light source, and G1, it is the half silvered glass plate or it is the beam splitter, and beam incident on the G1, it gets partially reflected. So the light which is falling on the plate G1, so it will get partially reflected and partially transmitted. Now M1 and M2, these are the good quality plane mirrors having very high reflectivity. So almost all the rays which are falling on the mirror, so the rays, they will get reflected as it is. Usually mirror M2, it is fixed and mirror M1 is capable of moving. So now in this experiment, the mirror M2, it is made fixed, and the mirror M1, it is mounted on some scales and some screws with which it can be moved. So mirror M1, it is capable of moving towards or away the glass plate. This mirror M1, it can be moved towards or it can be moved away from the glass plate along an accurately machined track by means of screws. So some machinery is constructed over here so that the mirror M1, it can be moved accurately, and the distance by which it can be moved, but the distance by which it is moved, the distance it can be accurately measured using the various scales which are attached to that machinery. Now in the normal adjustment of the interferometer, the mirrors M1 and M2, they are perpendicular to each other. So in the normal adjustment, so the usual experimental setup is that the M1 mirror and the M2 mirror, they both are perpendicular to each other, and the glass plate G1, it is at 45 degrees to the mirror. So this glass plate, it is at 45 degree to the mirror M2 as well as to the mirror M1. Now this over here, it is shown another diagram. So this is the same diagram. Now over here what I have shown is the distance between the mirror M1 and glass plate is given by x1, and the distance between the glass plate and the mirror M2, it is given by x2. Now the rays 5 and 6, they will reach the eye. Now the ray 6, it is coming from the mirror M1, because the ray 6, it is the transmitted ray. So the ray 3 which got reflected from the mirror M1, it got transmitted from the glass plate and it is represented by ray 6. But this ray 5, it is coming from reflection by the mirror M2. So to the naked human eye, the ray 5, it will not appear to be coming from this point. So actually the ray 5, it is coming from, its origination is from the mirror M2, but to the human eye, the ray 5, it will appear to be coming from a straight line obviously for the naked eye the ray it travels in a straight line. So the ray 5 it will be appear to be coming from a point mirror, from a point which is represented by M2 prime. So this ray 5 it will be appearing to the naked eye as it is coming from M2 prime. So to the naked eye it will appear as this ray it is coming from this point and not from this point, because for human eye the light it travels in a straight line. So ray 5 it will appear to be coming from the points on M2 prime. So M2 prime, this will be the virtual image of mirror M2 which will be seen by the eye. Actually there is mirror M1 and there is mirror M2 and there is no image. But to the human eye, or when we view the ray 5 and 6 from the travelling microscope, so then these rays, ray 5 it will appear to be coming from M2 prime and this will be the virtual image of mirror M2. Now what will be the distance between these two mirrors M1 and M2 prime? What will be the distance between these two mirrors? That will be x2 minus x1, because M2 it is at a distance of x2 from the glass plate. So the virtual image of M2 mirror, that is M2 prime, this is the virtual image of the mirror M2. So the distance of this image from the glass plate it will also be equal to x2. So the distance between the two mirrors x2 minus x1, that is represented by small d, which is the distance between these two mirrors. Now mirror M1 it is movable, so we can move this mirror and this virtual image of the mirror M2 it will remain as it is. So the distance between these two mirrors it can be increased or it can be decreased. So now in the Michelson's interferometer, what is the kind of thin film which is present? Because the Michelson's interferometer it comes under the division of amplitude, so there is some thin film which is present over here. Now what is the thin film over here? The thin film is the film which is made between the mirrors M1 and the virtual image of the mirror M2. So this is M2 prime and this is the image of the mirror M2. So the distance, this thickness between M2 prime and M1, this is the thin film which is formed. Now the main task will be what is the path difference between the rays 5 and 6, because 5 and 6 rays they are reaching the eye and interference pattern will be due to these rays, ray 5 and ray 6. So first of all what we want to find is the path difference between these two rays. Now the ray 5, it is the reflected ray from the glass plate. The ray 4 it gets reflected from the glass plate and is represented by ray 5. But the ray 6 it is simply the transmitted ray. The ray 6 it is just the transmitted ray. The ray 3 it will just it will get transmitted through the glass plate and it will reach the eye, whereas the ray 5 it comes after reflection from the rear side of the glass plate. Since this is a glass plate, so it will have a refractive index and its refractive index will obviously be greater than air, or you can say the surroundings. Now the ray 5 it is getting reflected from the bottom side of this glass plate. So it is getting reflected by the glass plate, means it is getting reflected by the denser medium. Therefore a phase of pi, or you can say a path of lambda by 2, it will be introduced in the ray 5 because it is getting reflected by the denser medium. Because the ray 4 it is getting reflected from the rear side of the glass plate and this is a glass plate, so it is made up of a refractive index which is greater than that of the surroundings. Therefore the path difference will be introduced in the ray 5. The path will be introduced, extra path will be introduced in the ray 5 and that path will be equal to lambda by 2. Now to eye, the waves they will appear to get reflected by the two plane mirrors. Now the rays which were getting separated from the beam splitter, the rays which were getting separated from the beam splitter, they traveled some distance. The reflected and the transmitted rays, they traveled some distance and they got reflected by the plane mirrors. Now to our human eye, the waves they will appear to get reflected by two parallel mirrors that we had drawn. Two parallel mirrors, M1 and M2 prime. So instead of M2, now we will talk about M2 prime, which is the virtual image of the mirror M2. So to human eye, the waves they will appear to get reflected by the two plane mirrors, which are M1 and M2 prime, and they are separated by a distance of x2 minus x1, and x2 minus x1 it will be taken as equal to small d. The beam which is reflected from the mirror M2, the ray 4 which got reflected from the mirror M2, it will undergo an abrupt phase change of pi, and this is due to because it is getting reflected by the beam splitter. So this I have already told you. Now what is the optical part difference between the two interfering beams, the ray 5 and the ray 6? What is the optical part difference between these two rays? Now here I have drawn another diagram which represents only the one optical axis. So in the last diagram we had two optical axes which were perpendicular to each other. One was perpendicular to mirror M2, another was perpendicular to mirror M1. But now over here I have drawn M1 mirror and I have drawn M2 prime, which is the image of M2 mirror. So in this setup, the optical axis is only the one optical axis. In earlier we had two optical axes, but now we have not shown the mirror M2. We have just shown the image of mirror M2 over here. So there is only one optical axis which is perpendicular to both M1 and M2 prime. The light from the extended source. Since we are using an extended source, in case of thin film, we always use extended source. So let's say this is the extended source. There are so many points on this source. So extended source, it is made up of infinite number of point sources. Now I have considered only one point source from the whole extended source. So I have just considered only one point source. Now the light from the extended source, first of all it falls on the beam splitter. As we had shown in the last diagram, the light from the extended source, it falls on the beam splitter, and then this ray, it falls on the mirror M2, and the reflected ray falls on the mirror M1. Since this ray, it is incident at 45 degree, so this is parallel to the optical axis. This ray, incident ray, is parallel to the optical axis because there is one optical axis in this direction and one optical axis in this direction. So the ray, incident ray, is parallel to the optical axis, and after getting transmitted, it is again parallel to the optical axis, and the other reflected ray, it is parallel to the another optical axis. So we can just eliminate this beam splitter. So in this diagram, I have just eliminated this beam splitter because the work of beam splitter, it is just to divide the beam into two ways, into two rays which are reflected and the transmitted rays. So the working of a beam splitter is only to separate the beam into two parts. Now in this diagram, I have already drawn two rays. So there is no need of a beam splitter. So what is in this diagram? This is a point source that I have taken, and the light from the point source, it is falling at any angle theta. Now in the last diagram, the ray was falling on the mirrors at an angle of incidence equal to 0, but the ray can fall at any angle because from the extended source, the rays, they are not parallel. They can be parallel or they can fall on the beam splitter at any angle. So on the mirrors also, the ray can be incident at any angles. So let's say the ray is incident at an angle of theta. Now this is the point source, and this is a part of the extended source. So this is the source, and the light from this source, let's say it falls at an angle of theta on the mirror M1. It falls on the mirror M1 and it will get reflected in this direction. Now this same ray, it will also fall on the mirror M2 prime and it will get reflected from the M2 prime mirror. M2 prime, it is the image of the mirror M2. So the ray which was falling in the last diagram, the ray was falling on the M2 mirror at an angle of incidence was equal to 0. So the ray which was falling on mirror M2, it was falling at an angle of 0, and the ray which got reflected from the beam splitter, it also was falling on the mirror M1 at the same angle, that is at an angle of incidence equal to 0. So the single incident ray, if it is falling at 0 degree on one mirror, it will also fall at 0 degree on the another mirror. Therefore, this ray which is falling at any angle theta, any general angle theta on one mirror, so it will also fall at the same angle on the mirror M2. So this is the virtual image. So this can be treated as the mirror M2. So the incident ray, it will fall, if it is falling at an angle of theta on one mirror, it will also fall at an angle of theta on the another mirror. So it can be cleared from the last diagram that the ray 1 which was incident on the mirror M2, it was falling at an angle of incidence equal to 0 because it was normal to the mirror M2, and another ray which was a part of the incident ray, so another ray, it also was falling on another mirror M1 at the same angle of incidence. So if there is one incident beam, it is getting separated into two parts. So those two parts, or you can say those two rays which are reflected and the transmitted rays, they will fall at same angle of incidence on mirror M2 and mirror M1. Therefore, in this diagram we have extended this incident ray to this point. So first of all, this ray is falling at this point on the mirror M1, and then we have extended this ray and it is falling at this point on the mirror M2 prime, and it will get reflected from this point. So to the human eye, this ray, the first reflected ray, it will appear to be coming from this point, and the second ray, it will appear to be coming from another point. So there will be two virtual images that will be formed of this source, of this point source. So there will be two virtual images which will be formed. Now what will be the distance between these two virtual images? Now if the distance between these two mirrors is equal to d, so if the distance between these two mirrors is equal to d, then the virtual images, they will be separated by a distance of 2d. So there is simple mathematics, you can take simple digits, because the image of this source as seen from the mirror M1, the image of this source, if it is at, for example, 5 cm from M1, so the image of this source, that is this one, it will also be at 5 cm from this mirror M1. And similarly, if this source, if it is at 8 cm from M2 prime, the image of this source from the mirror M2 prime, that is the image of this source as seen in M2 prime mirror, the image will also be at 8 cm. So in that case, you can calculate the distance between these two images. So that will come out to be equal to twice of the distance between these two mirrors. So if the distance between these two mirrors is given by small d, the distance between the two images as seen through these mirrors, the distance will be equal to twice of d. So this is the first virtual source, and this is the virtual source as seen from the second plane mirrors. Now what we want to find is the optical part difference between this ray and this ray, because these two rays, they are falling on the eye or they are observed with the traveling microscope. So what we want to find is the path difference between these two rays. Now this first ray, it is appearing to be coming from this point, and the second ray is appearing to be coming from this point, and these two sources, they are separated by a distance of 2d. So this is equal to twice of d. Now what will be the path difference between these two rays? Now this ray, first ray, it is traveling this distance and another ray is traveling this distance. So what is the extra path which is travelled? That will be given by drawing a perpendicular from this point on the ray, second ray. So we will draw a perpendicular from this point on the second ray. So the path which is travelled after this perpendicular point, this path and this path, the both paths are same. So the extra path which is travelled by the ray 2, it is given by this distance. The distance from the source, virtual image of the source, and the point where the perpendicular touches. So this will be the extra path which will be travelled by the ray 2. So this is the triangle which is formed, and this triangle, it is shown over here. Now this distance, it is equal to 2d. So the distance between two sources, images of two sources. So here are the two sources which are present. The distance between these two sources is equal to 2d, and we had drawn a perpendicular on the second ray, and what we want to find is this slanting distance. What we want to find is this distance. And what we know is this angle is equal to theta. Now if the incident ray, it is falling at an angle of theta, so this angle which is made by the second ray with the optical axis, that will be equal to theta. Now what is theta? It is the angle of incidence, or the angle which is made by the incident ray with the optical axis. Now this perpendicular line, it is the optical axis, and the angle which is made by the incident ray with the optical axis, that is given by theta. Now this angle which is made by the second ray with the optical axis, that will also be equal to theta, and you can just use the properties of angles and the straight line to find what is this angle. Now if this angle is theta, this angle will also be equal to theta because they are alternate angles, and this will be an isosceles triangle. So the triangle with this vertex and these other vertices, so this will be an isosceles triangle, and if this angle is theta, this angle will also be theta, and if this angle is theta, so this angle will also be equal to theta. So this angle which is made by the second ray with the optical axis, this angle will be equal to theta. Now what we know is, we know the distance 2d. This is the hypotenuse of this triangle, we know 2d, and what we want to find is this path, because this is the extra path which is travelled by the second ray as compared to the first ray. So we want to find this path, so that will give us the optical path difference. So in this triangle, what we know is hypotenuse, and we want to find is the base. So we will use cos of theta. So in this triangle, cos of theta, it will be equal to base, which is not known to us, divided by hypotenuse, which is 2d. So x, or you can say this extra path, this will be just equal to 2d cos theta. So the extra path which is travelled by the second ray as compared to the first ray, so that is equal to 2d cos theta. But over here we have added a path of lambda by 2, and the reason of this term, the addition of this term, is because the ray, it is getting reflected by the glass plate. One of the interfering rays, that is getting reflected by the rear side of the glass plate, as we had shown in the last diagram, that the ray 4, after getting reflected from the mirror, it gets reflected by the glass plate. So glass plate, it is a denser medium, so a path of lambda by 2, it is introduced in one of the rays. So the total path difference between the two interfering beams, it will be 2d cos theta, which we had already calculated from this triangle, plus lambda by 2. So this is the optical path difference between the two interfering rays, and optical path difference, it will change with the angle of incidence. So if the angle of incidence is 0 or if it is equal to 45 degree, so the path difference, it will change, and hence if the path difference will change, so the type of fringes, they will also change. So at some point we will get bright fringes, and at some point we will get dark fringes. Now theta, it is the angle which is made by incident beam with the optical axis, and hence circular fringes are observed in this case. So all the rays which are falling at an angle of theta, so all the rays from the extended source which are falling at an angle of theta with the optical axis, so all those rays, they will have a path difference of 2d cos theta plus lambda by 2, and hence the type of fringes that will be made by such rays which are falling at the same angle of incidence, so the fringe will also be the same. So circular fringes are observed in this case also, and this is because the thickness of the film is uniform. Now this is the thickness. The D is the thickness of the film. So in Michelson's interferometer, the thin film is made between the mirror M1 and the virtual image of mirror M2. So the thickness of the film is same, and it is illuminated by the extended source. So if it is illuminated by the extended source, so there will be infinite number of rays that will be falling at same angle of incidence. So therefore circular fringes are observed in this case, and in the case of circular fringes, the central fringe, the center of those circular fringes, it will be on the optical axis. So the center of the fringes, it will be on the optical axis. So at this point there will be central fringe, and circular fringes will be observed around that point. Now for the maxima, for the bright fringes, so what is the condition? That these interfering beams, they will give us bright fringes. So for that, the path difference 2d cos theta plus lambda by 2, 2d cos theta plus lambda by 2, it should be equal to n lambda. So path difference, it should be equal to n lambda, which implies 2d cos theta, it should be equal to m plus half lambda. So you can take lambda by 2 on the right hand side, so that will give you n minus half. So that will give you n minus half, and for that n will take values from 1, 2, 3 and so on. But I have changed the variable over here to m, and instead of writing n minus half, I have written m plus half, where m, it is another constant and it will take values from 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So if you solve this equation also, that is n minus half, and if you solve m plus half, so for n you have to start from 1, and for m, if you are taking this expression m plus half, you have to start from 0. So first the path difference will be equal to, for m is equal to 0, it will be equal to lambda by 2. Then in this case you will have n minus half. So in this first equation you will get n minus half, and when you will put n is equal to 1, so firstly the path difference will be equal to lambda by 2. So if you are taking n minus half, the variable n, it should go from 1 to infinity. But if you are taking m plus half, then the variable m, it should take values from 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So this is the condition of maxima. Then for minima, that is the dark fringes, dark circular fringes. So dark circular fringes are observed when 2d cos theta plus lambda by 2, this path difference is equal to n plus half lambda. So when the path difference is equal to this value, so in that case the dark fringes will be observed, which implies we can simplify it, that is 2d cos theta, it is equal to n lambda, where n it will go from 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on.